the very best care. I would now like Tiffany Kraus, our Interim Assistant Health Commissioner and our Chief Nursing Officer, to give us the latest update on COVID-19 in Columbus. Tiffany?
Thank you, Mayor Ginther. As we expected and planned for, confirmed cases of COVID-19 are now increasing in our community. Today, the Ohio Department of Health announced that there are 88 confirmed cases in Ohio. Of that total, Columbus Public Health is currently conducting case investigations on a total of 4 cases in our jurisdiction as of this moment. The 2 previous ones we announced and the 2 new confirmed cases today. The 2 new cases are a 41-year-old female who is currently hospitalized, and the second new confirmed case is a 47-year-old male who is also currently hospitalized. As you know, this is a rapidly evolving situation, and we do anticipate that numbers will continue to increase. It's important to note that cases are reported in their county of residence, which can lead to some confusion. A good example is the firefighter who works in Columbus but lives in Franklin County. So his case is being reported and investigated by Franklin County Public Health. The numbers are constantly changing, so we will be announcing our local numbers on social media every day after they are announced by the Ohio Department of Health at their 2 o'clock briefing. This will allow us to provide the most current and most accurate numbers as we know them at that time. This is not a race, but a marathon, and Columbus Public Health is working around the clock to protect the health and safety of our community. We are grateful for the measures put into place by Governor DeWine and Dr. Amy Acton to slow the transmission of this highly infectious disease. In addition to these restrictions, I cannot stress enough that all of us have a responsibility to help prevent COVID-19 from spreading. What we do now is really important. First, if you are sick, stay home. And always wash your hands and cover your cough and sneeze with your elbow. Clean and disinfect high contact surfaces regularly. And please practice social distancing like we are all doing on this call. If you are sick and think you may have been exposed to COVID-19, call your healthcare provider. He or she will work with you to determine if you should be tested. Testing capacity is limited, and you must have a doctor's order to get a test. These things will help protect you, your family, and our entire community from COVID-19. Our staff at Columbus Public Health will continue to work with you and for you during this crisis. These are extraordinary times, and it will take all of us working together. Protecting the health and safety of our community is our highest calling, and we will continue to do whatever it takes during this pandemic. Thank you.
Thank you, Tiffany, and we greatly appreciate all of the work of Columbus Public Health. City Attorney Klein, would you like to say a few words?
Thank you, Mayor Ginther, and I appreciate your leadership through this time. I just want to say that I'm thinking about all those who are affected, those who are hospitalized, their friends and family, and also those who are sheltering in place, who are taking cautious decisions with their families to practice social distancing. I know this can be a tough and frustrating time for working parents who are raising children but working remotely. And I just want to recognize that, we're all in this together as one Columbus community. And I'm particularly proud, as you've indicated, Mayor Ginther, of all the city workers, with a particular shout out to my team in the city attorney's office who have been working with the Department of Public Health and various other departments, those down in prosecution, who, while the court has a limited docket, also are still on the front lines every day protecting constitutional rights of those who are incarcerated and have a constitutional opportunity to visit with the judge. So we're still working in the city attorney's office to make sure that we're providing up-to-date legal guidance and making sure our community is safe. Instead of boring everyone on the call with the legal details associated with the mayor's executive order, I'll kind of sit back and I'll be happy to answer any specific questions that the press may have. Thanks.
Thank you, City Attorney, and thank you for your guidance and counsel during this unprecedented time. Council President Hardin, would you like to say a few words?
Thank you, Mayor, and I'd like to echo the City Attorney in appreciation of your leadership and certainly the leadership of Dr. Roberts and all of those at the Health Department who are leading us and keeping us safe at this time. On behalf of my colleagues on Council, I'd like to express Columbus City Council's strong support of Mayor Ginther and Dr. Roberts throughout these executive powers. This will not only allow our city to seek help from federal and state governments, but most importantly, keep our residents and our employees safe. This is a time when we must fulfill our roles and responsibilities as governing bodies to help every resident in our community. And that is why Council voted this past Monday to unanimously approve a resolution supporting the Columbus Board of Health and supporting Mayor Ginther during these declarations of emergency. Furthermore, that is why Council passed an ordinance committing $1 million to emergency human services to help families most in need in support of housing in coordination with the mayor. Council is still open and is still working. We continue to work with the mayor, the administration, the city attorney's office, and the city auditors hourly. And during this time, we just appreciate everybody working together. And Council urges all of us, all of our residents, to comply with the directions of the mayor and the Columbus Public Health officials. We're all in this together, and we all must do our part to flatten the curve. So thank you, Mayor. Thank you for your leadership, and we're all in this together.
Thank you, President Harden. We're going to open it up to questions now. And if you could introduce yourself and your news organization, that would be terrific.
This is Bill Bush from the Columbus Dispatch. Is the health department keeping track of just symptoms that are showing up at hospitals, such as people showing up with pneumonia-like symptoms? Since we're hearing from the state today about, again, the lack of testing and the restrictions on testing, is anyone keeping track of just the number of cases that show up at the hospital that could be COVID-related?
So thank you for your
you
question.
Want to take that?
This is Tiffany Krause. Thank you for your question. So we do not keep track of symptoms, or we keep track of confirmed cases in Columbus and Worthington jurisdiction.
Hi, this is Tiffany from CNTV. So what exactly does it mean for the city to be placed in a state of emergency? What authority, what powers, what extra capacity does it give the city?
So the state of emergency I signed earlier today allows me to enter into contracts without the requirements currently in place. It allows me to take the necessary steps to maintain payroll, insurance, and payment to vendors. It gives me the ability to require city employees to remain at home, non-essential employees to remain at home. We believe that this may be the second time state of emergency. We're still trying to track that down. I think that Mayor Moody declared a state of emergency during the blizzard of '78. I don't know how long that lasts, but obviously a very, very different situation than this. So it is pretty unprecedented.
Is this, I'm sorry, is this for the foreseeable future, or do you have a timeline on this right now, or until further notice?
Until further notice. And we'll be working obviously very closely in coordination with Governor DeWine, making that determination and staying constantly in contact with city council, the city attorney, and city auditor.
Who exactly declares a state of emergency? Is it the city council, the mayor, the attorney, city attorney?
The mayor, and I have signed it this afternoon declaring the state of emergency, but the document was drafted by the city attorney in consultation with the city auditor and city council president.
Hi, this is Carrie. I was wondering, does this have an impact, and could it create a backlog on, you know, development requests, on code enforcement, things of that nature?
Many of those employees will are part of our frontline and essential teams. There may be some of those folks, depending on the type of request and so forth. 311 is going to remain open. We're going to continue to engage and take requests and follow up on requests. One of the big changes, though, that was announced yesterday was having folks now pay online or over the phone. So all the face-to-face contact that put our employees and, quite honestly, our residents at risk at Windows and BZS and otherwise, folks are going to have to pay bills and make transactions with the city online or over the phone for the foreseeable future to protect the public and our employees. So there are going to be additional changes to how we interact and serve the public, but all those frontline basic city services, police, fire, trash, public health, will all continue on.
This is Carrie Good from Business First. All the area commissions, et cetera, our meetings are canceled. So obviously developers are concerned that they won't be getting go-aheads or, permits, that development will just come to a halt. Is there, are there any steps to address that or to get permits moving?
My understanding is, and I'll let the city attorney speak to this, even though BZS and area commission meetings and other things won't be taking place for the foreseeable future, that with the declaration of the state of the emergency, development and zoning and other things can take place with the approval of the mayor and the administration. Is that correct, City Attorney Klein?
Actually, Mayor, if I may just kind of walk through the authorities. I think there's been some previous questions about kind of the powers of the mayor during this time. So a couple sections of law that I think would be important for folks to take a look at. I'm not going to bog you down with all of them, but three in particular. The first is the Columbus City Charter, and that's section 62, general powers and duties of the mayor. And it says, in relevant part, it shall be the duty of the mayor to act as chief conservator of the peace within the city, to supervise the administration of the affairs of the city, to see that all ordinances of the city are enforced, and to exercise such powers and perform such duties as are conferred or required by this charter or by the laws of the state insofar as they consistent with the charter. So that's the basis of the mayor's power that we work off of, and then get into Columbus City Code sections 123.01 and 123.02. And these are the basis when you see the mayor's declaration that it talks about these particular code sections. It essentially says when there is an event of any disaster affecting life and property which substantially impairs the functioning of the city government and its ability to protect the lives and property of the people, and the mayor is authorized to proclaim the existence of a state of emergency in the city of Columbus. And that's what Mayor Ginther did this afternoon. So it's the first step is the proclamation that there is a state of emergency. And you'll notice in the proclamation itself, there's several whereases that outline the existence and the effect of COVID-19, not only from President Trump's own declaration, but all the way down to the state of Ohio, to Franklin County Emergency Declaration, to the Department of Health, the city Department of Health declaration, including what the mayor just signed today. 123.02 is the implementation. And when you see in the declaration, that is the section that is that starts in bold, now, therefore, too. That is the section that outlines the steps, the actual orders that the mayor is taking. Now, Mayor Ginther has indicated it has to do with contracting provisions, making sure payroll is met. There's two catches that I want to highlight for the media to know. The first is the mayor's authority is very broad here. In acting and basically doing what the mayor believes is necessary to carry on the essential functions of the city of Columbus. It's limited twofold. The first is it can't be in direct contradiction to federal law or state law. That includes some of the directives that Governor DeWine has already issued in his emergency declarations in conjunction with Dr. Acton. The second is there has to be a nexus for the mayor to act unilaterally that has a relationship to the emergency itself. In this instance, COVID-19. So the mayor in his ability to act unilaterally, to make decisions to ensure the city functions, those decisions have to have some nexus back to COVID-19. Now, I'm not going to get into hypotheticals of what may or may not have a nexus back, but these are the conversations that we will have with the mayor as he makes decisions and wants to make sure the city is functioning properly, that frontline personnel and all city employees are paid, that we have refuse pickup, et cetera. So to indirectly answer your question about development, the guidance that this proclamation allows is that the mayor may act unilaterally so long as there is a nexus to this COVID-19 problem. I also would like to make a note that while council is in recess, and Council President Harden can chime in on the exact date, I forget, but until April, they're taking a break because of the COVID-19 problem. Council still has the ability to perform its function. And so that council's function can act simultaneously with this mayor's declaration.
And thank you, City Attorney. Our date, council is in recess until April 20th, and we will follow that unless or until or in consultation with the mayor and city attorney.
So, City Attorney, fine, this is Bill Bush again. So, the council can still convene remotely, but what the mayor's powers do is just allow him to act unless they do not, or what is
no, the mayor's bill, the mayor's power allows him to act in the ways that it is described in the declaration as it relates to contracting for essential city services in order to make payroll. Those are specifically outlined in the declaration itself. It's in the section that says now, therefore, to. I believe it's on page 2 of now, therefore, I, Andrew Ginther, Mayor of Columbus. If you read it, there's four bullet points. It's in those 4 bullet points that the mayor is taking action to do specifically those things. Now, the mayor at a later date, because we have all seen that COVID-19 is an ever-evolving situation, he may want to expand those powers with a further executive order. He has the ability to do that. That is solely within the mayor's call, depending on the circumstances that exist within the city of Columbus, depending on this crisis. But the mayor can act to make sure that essential city services are functioning as related to as affected by the COVID-19 crisis, and that's outlined specifically in section 1, 2, 3, 4 at the end of the declaration.
Bill, this is Robin. I can send you that. And for any other media on the line, I didn't send it out in a mass email, so we weren't slowing everything down. If you want a copy of the declaration, shoot me an email. I'll get it to you.
Mayor Ginther, Lacey from 10 TV. The city of Westerville has approved a relief program to waive all residential and business utility bill payments due April 15th. They're doing a pay it forward if you're able to. Is the city of Columbus looking to do anything like that, given the fact that we have so many people who are now facing unemployment?
Something certainly that we could consider. I think you have already reported widely that we will not have any water shutoffs take place for the foreseeable future. I think we said at least for the next 30 days and may consider that as well. It's something that we'd be willing to consider. We obviously know that would have a significant financial impact on the operations of the divisions of power and water or other utilities, but something that we would consider. One of the things we're also working on is working with the courts to stop evictions from being filed and processing moving forward. In this point in time, I think the president even announced today a federal step to slow down or prohibit evictions from being filed in the foreseeable future. So all things are on our mind, as well as, continuing to encourage private sector and community leaders to contribute to the United Way and to the Columbus Foundation, that both started funds to help those that are not able to work, not able to earn what they would normally earn during this time, and to support with basic needs of food and shelter.
I left
and
a
otherwise.
message with
So,
Rob Cotner. I
those are all
called
things we're thinking about.
S&T, but they were not able to help.
This is Haley with ABC6 again. I just wanted to make sure, because the call cut out a little bit for me, that health update, Columbus Public Health, in your jurisdiction, it's 4 confirmed cases, the 2 new cases today being that 41-year-old female and the 47-year-old male, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
And the lady who spoke from Columbus Health, again, could you spell your name and your title for us?
Sure. It's Tiffany Kraus, Tissany, Kraus, Krauss.
And your title is?
I'm the Assistant Health Commissioner, Chief Nursing Officer.
Thank you.
This is Carrie Ghosh. Are you able to confirm whether these 2 new cases in the city are the same as the 2 cases that OSU reported today?
I don't have that information to share with you.
But Carrie, we're happy to follow up if it's information that can't be shared. We'll make sure Robin gets that to you.
Do we have any other questions?
I had a quick one. This is Haley again. So in theory, could a developer, if they wanted to, still, submit documentation, try to move forward with a development proposal, and perhaps that could go directly through council and the mayor?
Well, as you know, we're still open for business online. We've just not putting our employees and the public at risk for public interactions at BZS and a number of places at utilities. And the other thing that we have done is made sure that folks are able to engage and process their developments, but it's just, doing it through online. As far as the zoning variance and approval process and those types of things, I would probably look to City Attorney Klein as far as what would still have to be approved by council if there was a variance or an economic development agreement or any of those types of things. If it's not specifically connected to COVID-19 based on this state of emergency, what would require council action or what could be approved by the mayor during a state of emergency?
Yeah, thanks, Mayor Ginther. Again, if the mayor came to me with that question, I would ask the mayor, is this essential city business, and is your action by not perhaps going to council, which is required by the Columbus City Code, is that necessary for you to function? Is it necessary for you to carry out essential city business, and is it related to the COVID-19 crisis? I don't want to get into hypotheticals, but if the answer to both of those questions are no, then I would probably say that it's outside the bounds of the mayor's authority as it relates to this proclamation. That's why I think it's important to remember that the mayor's proclamation can run simultaneously with council action.
And City Attorney, does this power transfer to the mayor from the City Council, or is it transferring from other arms of the city as well?
No, this power resides solely within the mayor, and we actually wrote a memo to the mayor and to other various department heads. I'm sorry, city officials about that. I've talked to the mayor's office. I'm permitted, because of attorney-client, I'm permitted to release that memo. I'm happy to do that, and I'll have my person, Mark Rutgers, send that out. Or if you contact Mark, he'll be happy to send you a copy of it. But this resides solely within the mayor. The charter, as I said, basically, essentially under Section 62. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I don't mean the power to declare the emergency. I'm saying now that the emergency has been declared, are the powers that it transfers generally coming from the city council? So they're coming from the city council to the mayor?
I see what you're saying. Yes, essentially, yes. That in a generic way is what is happening. The mayor is able to act unilaterally without the typical and general procedures outlined in the Columbus City Code or the Columbus Administrative Code that otherwise may include the council. That's why it's important to keep this narrowly tailored to a nexus between COVID-19 and essential city services.
Okay.
Hey, I'm back on the line. I'm sorry I got cut off. I wanted just to be clear with council's actions and council's start back date. We have tied, as council meets, there are ancillary meetings that then happen around our meetings, around commission meetings, around zonings. We are watching and following, keeping in step with the mayor's closure of recreation centers till April 6th at the moment. And we want to encourage folks not to meet. And so we will be doing the behind the scenes work, working with the building and zoning services, working with the mayor, working with the city attorney. But like I said, as I stated, April 20th is our next scheduled council meeting, which will mean that some work will have to start if we, depending on where we are, to lead us to that April 20th meeting, depending on the evolving nature of this crisis.
So to be clear, there are no votes or council actions or WebEx meetings between now and then.
There are none.
Do we have any other questions?
Just one for Council President Hardin. Is the council recess, or I guess for anyone, is the council recess what necessitates this emergency, or no?
No, I don't.
Because you're out until April 20th and won't be able to approve things that might happen between now and April 20th. Or did that lead to partially why you needed to do this?
I'm not saying that it is. I think that we are making sure that the mayor is able to execute the powers that he needs to keep our residents and our employees safe. But I'll let the mayor or city attorney.
My question being, with you being out, are there things that the mayor has to do that would have normally gone before council, but they need to be done now, so you need to have this?
Right.
Bill, this is Zach. That was Bill Bush, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Bill. Yeah. So this is Zach. Like, look, the council taking a recess to April or taking a break until April is one of the many factors that go into a decision of whether a mayor has the authority to or whether the mayor can declare an emergency. And I think when you see the proclamation itself, you'll see several whereases. Everything ranging from federal government to state government to local action. One of the many factors that could necessitate the mayor taking this action is the council decision to postpone meetings until April. So city business still needs to get done. People, firefighters, city personnel, Department of Health, police officers still need to get paid. Contracts for city services still need to be entered into and still need to be paid. Like, these are all within the authority of the mayor to do so because it is a substantial function of the government to ensure that this process still goes on, and that is exactly what the mayor has done by issuing this state of emergency.
Okay.
The mayor now has the authority to make those decisions, but that's why it has to have that nexus to COVID-19 and why it has to be part of the essential city services and the substantial function of government.
And this is why. Go ahead, Karen.
I saw a good tweet about this morning. Basically, this is like the boring parts of the city council agenda where they're, voting on $100,000 to buy pipe for the sewer department and lights for the streets department. Those functions are falling to the mayor for the time being, correct?
Well, and I think what's important is if you look at what Dr. Roberts, the public health emergency that she declared with the Board of Health, that was to take additional steps to quarantine and isolate individuals if needed, mandates testing and treatment to ensure people are getting appropriate care, and then allows the city of Columbus to control and limit the entering and exiting of public areas to prevent spread from a COVID-19 hotspot. That was necessary, but this state of emergency declaration is critically important because when Dr. Roberts is going to need significant amount of resources in an expedited time frame, or Director Pettis, the Division of Police and Fire, or Public Service, refuse, if any of those departments need resources, contracts, and immediate response to situations during this crisis, this state of emergency declaration will allow me to help move those resources. So it allows the city to be much more nimble and efficient while, battling this pandemic.
Okay, if there aren't any other questions, thank you all so much for being with us, and please be well.
Thank you.